students, welcome to the third video of improvement in food resources, where we are going to continue with the crop production management by learning more ways by which we can increase the crop production and manage it well. So let's begin. In the previous video, we talked about how the use of fertilizers and insecticides, pesticides, and not the insecticides and pesticide, but manuring and use of fertilizer can improve the crop yield. And we also learned how irrigation, different types of irrigation systems, they are planned out to improve the crop yield in the fields. Here we are going to discuss uh, the production improvement with respect to cropping pattern, and we are going to learn about the crop protection management, where we are going to discuss the use of insecticides, pesticides, and weedicides that can help in curbing the problem of the diseases and the insect pests. So let's begin. In cropping patterns, first pattern is mixed cropping. Mixed cropping is the process of it is the way of growing two or more crops simultaneously in the same field. I'm going to write the definition. It is the process of growing two or more crops simultaneously in the same field. Okay, some of the examples we will see through these picture. So in this picture, maize and bean is grown together simultaneously in the same field. The second picture shows spinach and red amaranthus. So while you're looking at this cropping pattern, basically, which is mixed cropping, there are many advantages that you can think of. Okay, first of all, as you can see, there are two different crops grown. So these two different crops will have different nutrient requirement. So uh, there will be no deficiency of a particular nutrient in the soil. The spinach is using something else, red amaranthus is using something else. So there will always be a balance of nutrients in the soil. And together with the nutrients, the water requirement also is different. So one crop is using more water, other crop is using less water. Okay, and this, for cropping pattern to be successful, we have to keep these things in mind. What are the requirements? If we do not know the requirements, then the cropping pattern will not be successful, and the whole hard work will be gone to the dustbin. Okay, so the requirements, they need to be understood, they need to be known, so that either it is mixed cropping or intercropping, which is the next type of cropping pattern, so that it is successful. In the next picture, you can see in the field, mustard, amaranth, onion, and garlic is grown. So mustard is this plant with these yellow flowers, you can see. Okay, and it is basically, one more thing that you can see in these pictures, you can observe in these pictures, is that there is no particular pattern of the crop, of the growth of the crop. Okay, so the crops, they are present in a particular place only, they are covering a specific area, but there is no pattern. Okay, why I'm saying this? Because another example is of eggplant, coriander, and red amaranth. Okay, and with this, we have come to the next type of cropping pattern, which is intercropping. So this type of pattern is the one where two or more crops are grown in the same field simultaneously, but in a specific pattern, which is quite clear from the picture. Okay, so It is a process of growing two or more crops simultaneously in a field in a specific pattern. So for intercropping and mixed cropping, growing of two or more crops simultaneously in the same field is a similarity, but the difference is that in intercropping we are doing it in a specific pattern. In mixed cropping there is no pattern. Okay. So first example of intercropping is of moong and sugarcane. Moong is grown with sugarcane. In the second example, maize, soybean, and oat is grown. And in the third example, you can see lemongrass, citronella, along with orange tree and moringa tree is grown. Okay. Although the pattern in this picture is not quite clear, but yes, there will be a pattern always. Okay. With this, I also want to talk about the important, advantages of intercropping. Just like mixed cropping, the advantages are also the same, but I still would like to mention them. In intercropping, also, when we are growing two or more crops together, we are looking at the requirements that they have, the requirements of the different nutrients, the requirement of water, the growth of the roots actually, because the roots are only absorbing the minerals and the water. Okay, the depth of the growth of the roots actually. So if all these points they are kept in mind, then the cropping pattern can be successful, and it will be disadvantageous. It will increase the crop yield, and within a year we can grow many crops. We can get more and more varieties of crops, and the yield can increase, and with this the it can be advantageous to the farmers. Okay, so the next cropping pattern is crop rotation. Crop rotation is the growth of crops. Oh, sorry. It is the growth of crops in the field in a pre-planned succession. Okay, so with this picture, it is quite clear. After wheat, this lettuce is grown. I hope this is lettuce. And then after lettuce, this plant is grown, which has these clover leaf like shape of the leaves. So this is clover leaf plant, and we are going, this is in the same field, this is taking place in the same field, but we are growing it one after the other. Okay, so crop rotation has many advantages, and there are many points also that we have to keep in mind, which are a little different from the mixed cropping and the intercropping. There are some rules. There is a guide of crop rotation. Okay, so now in this guide you can see that after legume family, the goosefoot family has to be grown. After that, onion family, then squash and melon family, then sunflower family, then brassicas, and then carrot, then nightshade family, which include tomatoes, potatoes, etc., the solanaceae family. Okay, and after that the grass family should be grown. Okay, so the first point in the crop rotation guide is that the in crop rotation, the plants of the same family shouldn't be grown in succession. Okay, so crops of two families should not be grown in succession. Okay. Now, why is this so? The first, because these two crops of the same family, they are going to share the pests and the diseases also. So for example, for the first time growing of first crop, okay, the infestation of the pests and the diseases will take place. And when you grow the second crop of the same family in succession, then the pests and the diseases will take, they will be ready to attack, I mean. Okay. So the only reason that we don't have to grow two crops of the same family in succession is that they are going to share pests and diseases. And we do not want infestation of any pests and diseases. Okay. Second point is that in a sequence, of crops, legumes should be there. Okay. Now there is a simple reason why legumes we are involving. Okay. I think you already know. Legumes, first of all, they help in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil by a process called biological nitrogen fixation, where with the help of a symbiotic bacteria which is present in the soil known as rhizobium, they help in converting nitrogen into ammonia, ammonia into nitrites, and nitrites into nitrates. Ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates, they can be used up by the plants for their proper growth. This is the only form of nitrogen the plants can use. Okay, so legumes, they help in nitrogen, biological nitrogen fixation. And second of all, they are also a very good source of green manure. So in the previous video, you must recall that what is green manure and what are the advantages of mixing green manure into the soil. So that's why in a sequence, if legume is there, then crop rotation process will be definitely advantageous. The third step is that there are some deep rooted plants, okay, and shallow rooted plants. So deep rooted plants are like sunflower. Okay, this is a deep rooted plant. And wheat is a shallow rooted plant. Shallow rooted plant. Okay. Now, the deep rooted plants, they should be followed by the shallow rooted plants. Okay. Now, this all depends upon the uh, balancing, the water requirement and the mineral requirement of the soil, so that we are not depleting the soil of a particular nutrient. Okay. Or we are not depleting the soil of water at the same time. So, deep rooted, like I said, deep rooted plants are followed by the shallow rooted plants. So first sunflower is grown and then it is rotated with wheat. If these 3 points are kept in mind, then crop rotation can be very helpful in increasing the crop yield. Okay, now let's move on to some of the examples. Now here in year 1, malt and barley is grown. In year 2, spring wheat is grown. Year 3, potato is grown. And year 3, malt barley is grown. Okay. So this type of crop rotation is helpful. And you are within 4 years, you are not getting only same crop. You're getting multiple crops, varieties of crops. Okay. This is very advantageous with respect to the market value also. And it can increase the production. It can increase the um, needs also of a family. If a family is involved in crop rotation, so the needs of the different members of the families also can be uh, completed. With this note, we have come to the next topic, that is crop protection management. So when we talk about the crop protection, why the crops are threatened, by what they are threatened? They are threatened by the insect pests, the diseases, and the most of all, the weeds. When I say weeds, Weeds means the unwanted plants, and they will always be there. They will always be there when we are growing the wanted plants, the desirable plants, that are the crops. Okay. When the weeds are grown there along with the crops, why do we want to remove it? We want to remove it because weeds are actually competing with the actual plants, competing for space, they are competing for light, they are competing for water, they are competing for nutrition. So if it is shared between the weeds and the crop plants, then the yield of the crop plants will dramatically reduce, which we do not want. Some of the examples of weeds are xanthium, which is also known as gokru in local language, parthenium, which is gajar ghas. Parthenium is also known as Congress grass, you must have heard. And many of the cows and buffaloes, because they do not think before eating, uh, they they suffer from indigestion and other things by eating this particular grass, that is parthenium, Congress grass. Next is Cyprinus rotundus, which is motha. Insect pests attack the plants in three ways. They cut the root, stem, and leaf. They suck the cell sap from various parts of the plant, and they bore into the stem and fruits, which damages the crop. And this is true for the weeds also. So, like, I'm just going to the previous point of weeds, going back to the previous point. When we talk about the weeds, the moment they have grown, they have to be uprooted in their first stage. If that is done, then the damage to the crops can be prevented. Okay. The same is true for insect pests. If it is controlled in its first stage, then the damage, a lot of damage control can be done. Diseases in the plants are caused by pathogens like bacteria, fungi, viruses. And for these, to prevent these, there are pesticides, which includes herbicides. Herbicides are used for weeds, insecticides for insects, and fungicides for uh, fungal infection that takes place on the crops. Okay. There are weed control methods also that includes mechanical removal, but it can be tedious, it can be very tiring. And other preventive measures against pests are to use resistant varieties. Okay. Some of the resistant varieties, I think I made a point in the first video of this topic. Some of the resistant varieties like BT cotton, it was resistant to what? It was resistant to cotton bollworms. Okay. So these resistant varieties are GMOs most of the time. They are genetically modified. Okay. Summer plowing is another method in which the fields are plowed deep in summers to destroy weeds and pests. So there is the use of resistant varieties, and there is summer plowing. Okay. Let's move on to the storage of grains where there is again a problem. There is a risk of the crops going bad. Okay. So when the crops they are stored, there are some biotic and abiotic factors. Biotic includes rodents, fungal infection, bacteria, okay, the pest infestation also. Abiotic factor includes like humidity variation is there, temperature variations are there, which can cause degradation in the quality, loss in weight, poor germinability, discoloration of produce, or leading to poor marketability. Okay. Preventive measures are there, obviously, and they include strict cleaning of the produce before storage, proper drying of the produce first in sunlight and then in shade, and then fumigation using chemicals that can kill pests. So in fumigation, it is a process where the chemicals, they are boiled first, the temperature is raised, and then it is sprayed. And it is thought that fumigation uh, increases the chances of killing the pests. This can also be done with sanitizers, which is happening a lot these days with the coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. People are using fumigators to disinfect or sterilize a place. Okay, so preventive measures are to clean the produce before storage and properly drying it in the sunlight and then in the shade, and fumigation. Okay, let's move on to the picture which shows grain silos or silos, whatever you want to call, and the grains are stored here. In the next picture, fumigation is shown. So these are the pesticides which are sprayed over the crops. And on this note, we are going to start with the questions. The first question is, what are the main benefits of mixed cropping? So mixed cropping is the growth of two or more crops in the same field simultaneously. Okay, there are many benefits. Okay, we are going to just write two benefits. And with the mixed cropping, the losses of crop is reduced, because I think I mentioned a point in intercropping or crop rotation. When we are growing two or more crops at the same time, suppose if one crop gets uh, destroyed by a certain pest, okay, the same pest will not affect the other crop which is growing in the same field. So if one crop is destroyed, the other will be saved, and crop losses, they cannot be prevented altogether, but they will definitely be reduced. Okay, next is, it maintains balance of nutrients in the soil. This point also, I think I mentioned, where, like, if one crop is using a certain nutrient, other crop will use is using a different nutrient, and uh, deficiency of a particular nutrient will never occur in the soil, which is of course helpful. So next question is about stating two differences between intercropping and mixed cropping. So I'm going to make two columns: intercropping and mixed. So first and foremost, intercropping is done in a pattern, and mixed cropping is not. Intercropping, on the other hand, it is used to increase crop yield per meter square of an area. Oh, sorry, this is the second point. And mixed cropping, it is used to increase the crop production, which is overall. Okay, so I'll just write it here: overall crop production. Okay. The next question is about the advantages of mixed farming. So, in the advantages of mixed farming, the first one is that uh, the crop losses are reduced, soil nutrients are balanced, it increases uh, the variety of crops that are produced in a year. And I've just listed three ways, three advantages. You can list down more. So the next question is, why should pesticide be used judiciously? So pesticides also, just like fertilizers, first of all, they are poisonous. They are poisonous to the animals, like herbivorous animals and even the human beings. They can go into the water through the runoff rainwater from the soil and into the nearby water bodies, and there the aquatic animals and plants also can be affected. Okay, and this can also lead to pollution. Okay, it can lead to air pollution, it can lead to water pollution, it can lead to soil pollution, which is all detrimental to the crop production. Okay, then the next question is, why storage of grains leads to losses? So the storage of grains leads to losses due to two factors. There are biotic factors, which include insect pests, rodents, fungi, bacteria, etc. Okay, and there are abiotic factors like temperature variation, humidity variation, etc. Okay, and the next question is related to this only, where it is asked what preventive measures are undertaken before grains are stored for future use. So, first of all, proper cleaning of the grains is done. Then they are then they are dried under sunlight, and then in shade. Third point is fumigation, which we also saw in a picture. Okay. So the next question is, how are crops selected for crop rotation? Crops are selected on the basis of soil quality. The soil quality means the soil nutrient requirement, you can write. The rainfall of that particular place. Okay. Where the length of the rainfall can also be included. If the rainfall is optimum, what is the length? Then you can also write soil quality is there, rainfall is there, and you can also write about the temperature of that particular place. Okay, temperature and humidity of that place. You can also write a point about pests, what kind of pests are there in that particular place. On these points, if these points are kept in mind, then the crops which are better suited for that particular place can help in increasing the crop production with by using crop rotation. Okay, the next is, mention any 5 ways by which you can increase the yield of crops. So first point is about the not crop rotation, crop patterns. Okay, Crop patterns include mixed cropping, intercropping, crop rotation. Okay. Second is minimal use of pesticides. Minimal use of fertilizers. Use of organic manure and green manure, and proper selection by selecting proper seeds, best seeds. Okay. And with this, we are going to move on to the next example. So, in one example of intercropping, in this question, we saw in the picture how moong and sugarcane were grown together. Okay. Next question is that a student accidentally spilled few drops of a solution X over the shirt, and the area became blue black because of the solution. Name the solution X. So this solution X is iodine solution. Okay, you already know that iodine solution gives blue black color when it gets mixed with starch. So it got mixed with the starch of the shirt and it gave blue black color. And with this question, I'm going to end the video. I hope you liked it. If there are any questions, you can post them on the forum and I would be very happy to answer them. And please stay tuned for the next video of the same topic. Thank you.